Hello friends, my name is Dr. Jyoti Prakash and I am assistant professor in the department of oh, sorry. Hello friends, my name is Dr. Jyoti Prakash and I am assistant professor in the department of management School of Management Sciences Lucknow. Now welcome you all to the video lecture that is based on the topic International Human Resource Management. Human resource management we all know and you must have aware about the different aspect of human resource management, and those functions and those aspects will be in this video lecture. We will have a discussion on those functions and aspects on an international level. So, just have a firstly we should understand what is the meaning of international human resource management. So, international human resource management is basically a term used for the organization that manage their human resource activities at an international level, and IHRM includes basically all those functions which come under human resource, typical human resource functions like procurement, selection, training, development, performance appraisal and fixing and determining the remuneration and compensation, and all these functions are being managed and analyzed at international level. And we can say that human IHRM is basically procuring and allocating the human resource activities or human resource function in a multinational corporation or at an international level. So, in totality we can understood that international human resource management basically includes or covers all those functions and all those concepts of human resource management at international level. So, in simple term, IHRM is concerned about managing human resources at multinational companies, and it involves managing three types of employees, namely home country employees, host country employees and third party employees. So, if we talk about home countries employees, employees belonging to home country of the firm where the corporate headquarters is situated. Host country employees to the nation in which the subsidiary is situated, and the third party employees are like these are the employees who are not from home country, either home country or host country, but are employed at subsidiary or corporate headquarters. For an example, American MNC which has a subsidiary in India, means at India, may employ a French person as the CEO of to that subsidiary. So, the French man employed is a third party country, means obviously French person is not belong to either home country or host country, and in this example America is basically the home country and the host country is India, which is somehow operating a opting a subsidiary of that MNC and hiring a French person. So, that French person is basically considered or referred as a third party employee. So, in a case of or in context of multinational companies, they are having the diverse set of human resources, or they are having different background of human resources, and those human resources or those employees are basically categorized in three types like home country, host country and third country employees. So, you just think out that how diverse they are in terms of characteristic, in terms of the personality, in terms of the behavior, because they are not belonging to a particular nation. They are basically belonging to multinational, or they are basically belonging to different countries. So, obviously, the countries sharing different countries share different characteristic or different culture, different beliefs too. So, it is very difficult, or it becomes a basically a big challenge for a international human resource manager, that how he or she is going to tackle the issues related to these type of human resources available in the organization. So, obviously, if we talk about the functions of human resource management. So, the first function obviously in the earlier or in the introduction class of human resources, you have seen that the human resource functions are categorized into two, the operative function and managerial function. Managerial functions are, you all know very well, like planning, organizing, directing, controlling and coordinating. And if we talk about operating functions, there are so broad categories of functions which are performed by a human resource manager in the organization, in which the first function is procurement. Procurement is all about, a procurement is similar to we can say that it is a recruitment function of any firm. So, if we talk about internal recruitment, there are three approaches of internal recruitment. The first one is ethnocentrism, polycentrism and egocentrism. So, what are they? So, ethnocentrism, it is a cultural attitude marked by the tendency to regard one's own culture as superior to others. Polycentrism, in this there is a conscious belief that only host country managers can ever really understand the culture and belief of the host country the market. Hence, the foreign subsidiary should be managed by local people, because in every in fact, if we take the example of what McDonald's or Domino's. So, in their outlet, you must see the people are basically the people belong to local places, because they have the particular idea that the local people know the local person basically know the local people very well, and they understand the requirement, their language, their culture, and accordingly they can resolve or understand their expectation and requirement. Accordingly, fulfillment can be done by them. So, it is all about the approach, that is polycentrism. Means obviously the companies are doing or going abroad or going to some other countries, but they are hiring the local people because of the philosophy they are having, that the local people know the local candidates know very well the local people about their culture, about their beliefs, their behavior. Although that is the concept of polycentrism. And the third one is ethnocentrism. Is all about, it is based on the assumption that management candidates must be searched on a global basis without favoring anyone. So, the first one basically believes that whatever the activity or whatever the branches established by the company, but it should be managed by the country itself too. Means the host the main company, means the home country, the people of home country should be appointed as the managerial position in order to operationalize, in order to tackle all the in order to perform all the activities in the organization. Polycentrism is all about hiring the local people, and egocentrism is all about, it does not create any biasness, or it does not believe in the philosophy that local people know very well the local person, and only the home country people can manage the things in a better way. But it believes in the philosophy that any person who is found eligible, or who is basically the who while recruitment or selection process, if any candidate found eligible for the particular post, is irrespective of their background, irrespective of their originality, their belongingness, they must be hired by the company. So, these are basically the three approaches used by the employer while conducting this recruitment process on at international level. The next function, obviously in procurement, the next function is what? Selection process. We know this particular function very well. Means selection through recruitment, the main purpose or the main function of human resource management is to motivate or attract potential candidates to apply for a particular post or a job. Means through recruitment, a pool of application or pool of options of alternatives is being created, and through selection process, out of those alternatives, the best suitable candidates will be hired for the particular post. It means if there is a need of 3 or 4 people, means those 3 or 4 people will be selected after going through the stages or the process of selection. and you must have you must be knowing the selection process, like the preliminary interview, screening, and conduction of tests, next conducting interviews, reference checking, medical check, and the next the last one is job offer. So, the same process is also adopted in this particular selection function at international level. Means while selecting executives for international posting, the following things should be kept or could be kept in mind by a human resource manager, and what are they? The first one is general and technical criteria. The language skills, the cross cultural suitability, means how suitable or how adjustable an individual is while interacting with different background persons, and with different persons having different backgrounds, different persona, personality, and how motivated that individual is going to complete a foreign assignment, or how is the motivation level of the individual, that also determine that also help the human resource manager in selecting a suitable one out of the pool of application. And the family situation, means it is also one of the criteria that should be taken care of by a human resource manager while they are going they are opting or they are hiring that individual for going to abroad, or for performing the activities at international level. So, the family situation should also be taken care of. How means is the family able to means that individual is able to give means ignore the family sickness or the emotional aspects related to that family, and the families the other members are also available in the family, so that the taken they can take care of themselves very well. So, this particular situation can also be taken care of by the human resource manager while selecting a suitable candidate. Means these are basically the criteria, or these are basically some of the things that should be taken care of. Means the technical criteria means as per the requirement of the job, the duties and responsibilities, means the job description and job specifications are there. So, what the qualification that individual is, and what are the expertise, and what is the personal characteristic that individual is having. So, that the requirement of that particular post or job can be met out with that with the requirement, or with with the requirement of that individual in order to perform that duties and responsibilities associated with that particular job. So, that is all about general and technical criteria. The language skills means how many language that individual is knowing, so that he or she does not face any difficulty while as nowadays every firm is having a criteria that individual must have fluency in English, because English is a global language. So, that should be known by that individual, so that individual will not face any difficulty in interacting with people belongs to different, or people with having different background, or belonging to different nations. So, language skills that should also be taken care of while selecting any individual for international assignments. Cross cultural suitability means how adaptable you are in interacting with people of different nations, and how suitable you are in interacting with different cultures, or in how happy you are while visiting to different places, different nations in fact. So, that should also be taken care of, and these two are already discussed. Means in international selection, while performing the selection function at international level, a human resource manager should take care of these things into the mind, and after keeping these things into our mind, suitable candidates will be selected, and the next functions will be performed accordingly. So, obviously, the next function will be cross cultural training techniques, because that individual, it may happen that individual is having some sort of skill and having some experience, but that international assignments require some sort of training, some sort of different skills and different we can say that different responsibilities. So, some sort of training is required or some sort of training should be given to that individual in order to in order to make that individual adjustable in that cross cultural setting. So, what are the training techniques conducted at international level? So, documentary program, cultural assimilation, language instruction, sensitivity training, field experience means by showing different pictures and videos of the culture of the country, you can also get aware that individual about that country where he or she is being sent by the company for completion of a international assignment. For showing a culture and belief, some person from those countries may be hired for giving them a picture about the culture and the beliefs and the social things associated with that particular country. The language instruction means if you are not so good means you should be fluent enough and you should be good enough while talking to the person in that country of that country where an individual is being sent by the company. Sensitivity training means as per the requirement of job, means some of your aspect of your job being artificially created and you have been exposed to perform, means how able you are or in order to tackle that situation, in order to face out that particular situation into the organization. So, sensitivity training is also one of the method for giving you an idea about your future roles, about your roles that you will perform while doing that particular job. And field experience, obviously by going through the field you can also inculcate some sense or some sort of skills in order to perform in MNCs or at international level. The next one is performance management. Performance management is basically a very important process of human resource management in general, and it implies an assessment of current or previous results of performance of the employee, team or whole organization. It is a base for many business practices related to human resource management, the need of staff training, new recruitment, career development and rewarding. Performance appraisal is somehow related to the concept of HRM that named is performance appraisal, means obviously if an employee or if an individual is working in anywhere, means at domestic level or at international level, and he or she is performing as per the expected parameter, as per the expected standard or achieving that standard. So, obviously he or she is eligible to get that reward or get that appraisal, or their performance should be appreciated in terms of giving appraisal, in terms of giving them a reward, or in terms of providing them the career development opportunities. So, performance appraisal covers or performance management covers all these motivating factors which somehow influences or motivated an individual to perform in a better way or to maintain the same productivity, so that the organizational objective of or that purpose for what they have been hired or they are being sent, that purpose or can be obtained or that can be completed. So, performance appraisal work like means it is one of the important function played by a human resource manager at international level in order to motivate that individual, in order to maintain that individual into the organization, because it is the definition, in the definition we have seen in the definition of human resource management, we have seen that human resource management basically is an art of procuring, maintaining and developing the human resources in the organization, so that the organizational objective can be obtained. So, how the organization can be maintained the human resources, so that they can be continued for a longer time period for the organization. So, for that purpose or for completion of that particular purpose, you have to appreciate the performance of your good performers and you have to give reward, you have to just acknowledge their efforts or contributions, so that they feel motivated and they just continue their same pace, they will just continue the same pace as they are adopting, as they are doing earlier. So, it is also one of the important function played by a human resource management at international level. The next important thing and the most practical thing that should be expected by an individual at international level, and that is all about compensation and remuneration. We have discussed, I have explained the compensation and remuneration in my earlier videos, like it is somehow we can say that it is the reward or it is the money value that an individual will get or receive in return of the efforts and the contribution that he or she is giving into the in the organization. So, compensation we can say that it is the results or reward that the employee receive in return for their work, means whatever the contribution or whatever the efforts they are giving in the organization, they are achieving the target, they are proving themselves for what they have been hired. So, obviously, for all these performance, the organizations should give them a reward or give them a compensation, and that must be expressed in terms of money, and that is the most practical expectation of the employee. So, compensation we can say that it should also be taken care of, properly taken care of by a human resource manager, that a proper or justifiable compensation should be given to the individual in return of what they are giving in the organization. So, compensation is the results or reward that the employees receive in return of their efforts. Compensation includes payments like bonuses, profit sharing, overtime pay, recognition, rewards and commissions. Accompanying companies' compensation schemes also inform a great deal about the firm's value and culture, and employees often look at what a company pays rather than what it says. In many aspects, people behave as they are rewarded. It has been rightly said that whatever the reward or whatever the compensation structure that the company or that the employer has fixed or determined, that basically determine the behavior of the people, means behavior of the workforce that you have hired for completion of a particular task. So, for that you just being a human resource manager or being an organization or an employee, you just take care of this particular aspect, or a very crucial concern should be required while fixing or while determining the compensation for your employees. The next one is repatriation, means it is somehow a process, means it refers to a process in which a person comes back or returns to its home country from the host country after working there for a specific number of years, and repatriation simply means the closure of a transition cycle that should also be taken care of while performing the function or while performing the selection process, means because if someone has return from after completion of a particular task from a different country. So, somehow he or she is having that cross cultural, having knowledge about the that culture, that belief, the people around them, and the working culture too. So, that should also be taken care of while fixing the remuneration, while selection process, so that you can ensure that that individual will be obviously will perform in a better way, because he or she is having knowledge about that culture, that domestic that nation or that country in fact. The next one is international human resource management employee relation. In the earlier videos of employee relation, we have discussed that why it is required and what is it. So, human resource management and employee relation are the heart of any modern organization, and human resource management or basically employee relation are major focuses on understanding people and relationship at work, what makes organization work, what motivates employee, and what will be the future of work could be. So, in totality we can understood that the behavior or the act of your people, the act of your available workforce will be determined by obviously the way you have maintained a relationship with them, means how well or how is your relationship that you have maintained, that which type of relationship you have maintained with your employees, that basically determine the way of your human resources, that in what ways or in which way they just perform in order to fulfill the purpose or fulfill the objective of the organization. So, it is also one of the important function played by a human resource manager at international level. So, basically these are the things come under human resource management, and we have studied the various functions like recruitment, selection, training, development. Development is all about means time to time being an employer you have to introduce different development program for the holistic development of an individual, so that that individual just prepare himself or herself for tackling any type of situation or any type of problem in coming time or in future time. Means being a human resource manager, whether you are operating at a domestic level or at international level, you just understand the different functions performed by you, and those all functions must be properly taken care by you while performing, because you are dealing with human resources, and human resources are having basically some sort of sentiments and emotion. They are not treated like machines, and they are having some sort of sentiments, they are having some sort of expectation while they while working in the organization. So, those expectations must be properly handled by you as a human resource manager, whether it is at domestic level or international level, so that you can be ensure that whichever type of organization you are or employer you are, but you are having a satisfied or a happy workforce in your organization. So, that is all in this video lecture. These are basically some of the references of a good book. You just go through if you want to get information about the topic. I hope you will like this video. Thank you, students.